Out, and Liz Cambage ready to play well with 28 points, a season high, battling those mental health issues, and we appreciate that beautiful transparency and honesty in her fight.
Well, she always has been a very compelling story. Connecticut, the same starting five all season long, the only team that can say that, and Las Vegas going with the same starting five, even though they are coming off a loss to Chicago, and Bill Laimbeer had contemplated lineup changes. Kelsey Plum did not score in that game. Alyssa Thomas, right off the bat, gets the bucket. Both teams actually coming off of losses. Connecticut had a 7-game winning streak snapped when they just got trounced by 32 points in Minneapolis in their last game. Las Vegas lost here to Chicago, a much improved Chicago team. Bill Laimbeer in his second year in charge as the head coach and the general manager of this team, trying to get them into the playoffs after they missed by only one game last year. Erica Hamby, who's been starting for A'ja Wilson. Plum from the outside. That's a great sign for Kelsey Plum and the Aces.
Yeah, Connecticut doing some switching defensively, but when the ball goes inside to Liz Cambage, the defense must respect it, which is going to leave the perimeter open.
Kelsey Plum 0 for 5 in that loss to Chicago the other day. Hamby comes up with the miss. Becky Young also struggled a bit in that game against Chicago. First pick. Plum was the first pick 3 years ago, and Kelsey's 2 for 2.
Really good sign for the Aces. Bill Laimbeer was concerned about their lack of scoring in that loss to Chicago early, especially in the first quarter. So he thought about some lineup changes, went with the same group, and they're responding so far.
Vegas up 5-2, all 5 points courtesy of Kelsey Plum, who brings the ball up. Coach Laimbeer says he'd like to see her make better decisions, among other things. Cambage guarded by Jones and fouled by Jones.
Good ball movement and good awareness by Liz Cambage. The ball goes in. Alyssa Thomas dips in. And Jasmine Thomas a little out of position, trying to cover two on the backside. And then right here, good screen by Hamby and confidence from Plum.
Cambage at the free throw line. She gets there often, hits 77% on the season, and she did have another double-double, the season-high 28 points against Chicago. She has the WNBA single-game record when she scored 53 against New York in a game last year when she was with Dallas. Cambage, so dangerous. Her numbers up with A'ja Wilson out. A'ja still nursing a hurt ankle, but she is hopeful that she can come back relatively soon. Shakina Strickland, the three-point shooting champion at the All-Star weekend here in Vegas, gets a deuce.
Yeah, some switching there by Vegas. Mismatch with Liz Cambage guarding Strickland, and she takes advantage with the foot speed.
Kayla McBride, quick release. Both teams off to a fast start. Las Vegas has not missed a shot yet. These two teams met once before very early, back on June 2nd. Connecticut won that game here in Las Vegas 80-74.
And part of the reason why they won is they scored 32 points off a turnover. That number just blows me away. But that was Liz Cambage's first home game in an Aces uniform. You could tell they had gotten their chemistry quite together, playing much better to start this one. Well, this hot start is great for the Las Vegas Aces. Bill Laimbeer called their first quarter in their last game unacceptable, and you see a greater emphasis on energy and intensity here to start this game. But more importantly, Kayla McBride hitting that three-point shot. She has really been struggling from downtown. Coach gave her a full practice off. He said she was just worn down. She needs to get her legs back under. It looks like she has.
Curt Miller, the head coach for the Sun, was very concerned also about the Aces. He said he anticipated they would play like they were shot out of a cannon, trying to make amends for that subpar performance against Chicago. Cambage scores over Jones.
That's one of the biggest question marks in how Connecticut can limit Liz Cambage defensively. One-on-one, Jonquel Jones did not have an answer.
Plum with the pick. start, 3 for 3 from the floor. Third year out of the University of Washington. The Vegas Aces / San Antonio Stars with 3 straight #1 overall picks. Strickland from distance.
Beautiful read. Not a favorable matchup down low, and when the double comes, an excellent pass to a waiting shooter in Strickland, who has struggled from threes since the All-Star break.
He has hit 1 out of 2 from 3 so far in this game. McBride. Doesn't take her long to get the shot off, and another rebound for Jonquel Jones, the only player in the league averaging a double-double this season. Jasmine Thomas underneath. Alyssa Thomas able to clean up.
And that's what Jasmine Thomas does just as well as anyone in this league, is get 2 feet in the paint. She gets her entire team involved and just is a really good decision maker once she gets in there.
Thomas averaging about 5.5 assists per game. That's 7th best in the league.
You don't want to have Liz Cambage trying to contain Jasmine Thomas off of the dribble, and when she draws 2, that opens up the backside for the offensive rebound.
Connecticut with the ball down 3. Jonquel Jones, who is not averse to taking threes with the miss. McBride, a little bit too strong.
But that shows the pace of this Vegas team. Jackie Young's job is to get it up the floor, and then Connecticut comes back the other way and gets a quick and easy basket. But that's what the Aces want to do, is push.
Courtney Williams had 19 points when they played earlier this season. Connecticut has scored the last 7 points of the game to trim the lead to 1. Plum is still perfect. Looking like she did back in Seattle when she played for the University of Washington.
Yeah, there's a hedge by Jonquel Jones, but Jasmine Thomas is struggling to recover to challenge that shot. Plum's aggressive with it.
Jasmine, too strong. Alyssa Thomas, good box out. McBride hits the deck. The ball will stay with Connecticut. Off to a terrific start. Both teams scoring high. 16-13 Vegas. A'ja Wilson has done a lot of things so far, including winning the national championship. Dawn Staley's team at South Carolina 2 years ago. Then the #1 overall pick by Las Vegas, their first ever pick. She won the Rookie of the Year last year. And yes, she was an all-star captain. Had to miss the last 6.5 games with a bad ankle. And she standing by with Holly Rowe.
Welcome back to Las Vegas, here with A'ja Wilson. I know you'd rather be playing, but Coach LeBeer told us today that you want to come back and try to play Tuesday. He's not sure if you will, but how are you coming back?
I'm definitely coming back a lot faster. I think probably more than our medical staff thought I would. So, I mean, that's always something special. They've really been taking care of me here, so I want to get out on the court. Hopefully, fingers crossed for Tuesday. I think I'm capable of doing it, but we'll see.
I know that it's been hard for you to sit out during this stretch, but what is it that you've seen from the bench that's going to help you be good when you do come back?
Just the way people play, just the way that the other teams just play, and just get in the flow, especially with the energy. Hopefully I can bring the energy, because that's what Coach always talks about, having energy in the first 5 minutes. So that's something that hopefully I can bring and add on to the team when I come back.
Okay, stay tuned. Coming back soon. A'ja Wilson, thank you.
Thank you.
And it's nice just to see her not wearing a boot on that ankle that she hurt against Seattle last month.
She dressed that boot up nicely, but I'm sure they're happy to see her closer to returning. They are 4-2 without her, and you just want to have your entire team and be playing as well as you can down this important stretch of the regular season. And she is a bucket, Pam, as you know, when she is healthy and on the floor.
Good play by Courtney Williams to knock it off of Liz Cambage, who picked up her first foul the last trip down. Yes, A'ja Wilson off to a great start. 15.5 points, 6.5 rebounds, was rolling. The unanimous Rookie of the Year last year.
And with her out, it puts more pressure on everyone else on the team. That's why Plum and Jackie Young have had to pick up more of the scoring load and try to do more.
Courtney Williams now has a half a dozen points. Cambage guarded by Jones. That's unstoppable. 6'8".
And really good patience. Connecticut never committed to what looked like a forming double or even triple team. Liz allowed it to develop.
Jasmine Thomas over Plum. Jones could not convert on the follow.
The thing you have to be prepared for when you're taking on the Las Vegas Aces is the physical challenge on both ends of the floor. And Liz is going to be aggressive going to the rim. Jonquel Jones there just loses her. And good patience again by Liz, allowing things to kind of slow down and let the game come to her on that possession.
Cambage, 7th in the league, the most scoring and rebounds per game. A couple of substitutions. Bria Holmes in for Connecticut. Over on the left side, Kelsey Plum has been all over the place, forces that turnover.
Very active, impressive. And Bill Laimbeer has asked Kelsey Plum to focus more on the defensive end this season, and she has responded. And he feels like that's impacted her offense. But he's okay with that. He said, we are going to be a defense-first team, and they are number 1 in the league in field goal percentage defense.
At only 39%. What opponents are shooting against the Aces. Sugar Rogers has checked in for Vegas. For Kayla McBride, as Cambage loses it out of bounds. Courtney Williams. Off the back rim, Jones able to get the offensive board. That's her 4th rebound. Young almost took it away. And a step by Alyssa Thomas before the drive. Want more WNBA action? Well, now is your chance to catch your favorite players and teams all in person. Get your tickets today at WNBA.com/tickets. And what an unpredictable and exciting season this has been so far.
It's been so fun, and it's getting even more unpredictable as teams are getting healthy, like LA with Candace Parker, Simone Augustus with Minnesota. It's going to be quite a ride to the end.
Washington looking great. They had an impressive win over Minnesota, who just had a big win against Connecticut. So this is all up to date now. Washington, the top dog right now. LA playing Chicago. Chicago, much improved team. They're an exciting team.
Yeah, they picked up a big win here in Vegas and really like what James Wade is doing with that team. And we saw Washington's depth today. No Christy Tolliver. Ariel Powers had a fantastic game. Emma Bieseman off of the bench. Tiana Hawkins was also out. So shows really what they can do when they have to go deep.
Jonquel Jones, that's terrific. With Rogers chasing her down.
And that's really where Connecticut is best, when they can play in transition. They are not as sharp in half-court offensive execution.
It's Jonquel's first points of the game, averaging 15 and a half to lead this team. The ageless Tamara Young with the miss. Hamby! That's why she's in the league, because she can get to the rebounds. And she's done a really good job stepping into the starting lineup for Asia Wilson. Plum had her shot blocked by Jasmine Thomas. Bria Holmes beats everybody on the other end.
Alyssa Thomas at 6'2", can facilitate coming down the floor with a lot of strength and power. Good find and perfect touch on that pass.
Connecticut takes the lead thanks to a 13-4 run. Jisoo Park in now for Cambage. And Hamby got rejected by Jonquel Jones, who leads the league in blocks.
I said this before. I really feel like Connecticut on most nights has the best defensive front court in the WNBA, between the shot blocking of Jonquel Jones and the toughness of Alyssa Thomas. Thomas sometimes is caught undersized, but those two are a tough out.
Heaved it with the shot clock expiring. Jonquel Jones trying to break Brittany Griner's 6-season streak of leading the league in blocks. And right now, Jones at just over 2.1 per game is number 1 in blocks. Also leads the league in rebounding. She certainly is part of the MVP conversation.
Yeah, I mean, she's not looking over her shoulder this year. She is it. There's no Chiney Ogwumike. And you can tell that Curtin Miller, even though he likes the balance of this team, he's trying to establish her as that go-to player. Every team has to have one.
Heidemann in. Gets it to Alyssa Thomas, who has a chance for a three-point play. Heidemann, the backup point guard, giving Jasmine Thomas a rest.
Alyssa Thomas just never stops moving, and that's part of her value
in this offense. Sets the screen, but doesn't stop there. And she hits the gap between those two defenders like a running back. So strong.
But this is not her strength. Free throw shooting. Got it in. The right-handed Heave had been shooting the left-handed for most of her career. She's ambidextrous, but just 51% from the line this season. Connecticut has a foul to give. Vegas has missed their last 7 shots before Sugar put it in. Sugar Rogers, shot clock is off for the Sun. Teresa Plaisance just picked up. And the trade for Christine Anigwe hit the first shot she took. Connecticut with a great finish to the first quarter, lead by 3.
ESPN's coverage of the WNBA is brought to you by AT&T. More for your thing, that's our thing. And Taco Bell's Nacho Fries.
Welcome back to Las Vegas, here with the Connecticut Sun coach, Curt Miller. And, Coach, you said after the first quarter you should have a pretty good snapshot of how this game was going to go. Break it down for me.
Yeah, they got out on us a little bit, but we didn't panic and just dug in. They shot really well that first half of the first quarter. We had to string together some stops. Finally started to get some stops, and we can run. But it's going to be a high-tempo game. They push as well as anyone. We've got to continue to get back. We got to try to keep Jonquel out of foul trouble against Liv and give her different looks. But overall, pleased with that first quarter after the other night.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks.
And he should be pleased. They had 24 points in the first quarter, only 25 points in the first half in their last game that lost to Minnesota.
Yeah, they didn't dig in. And that's been the question mark about Connecticut, is when the going gets tough, in particular on the road, do they have what it takes to get themselves out of a hole and to really fight back? And he was not happy with their lack of intensity against Minnesota.
Plaisance with the personal foul. And Beige back in the game. Sydney Colson, the backup point guard, number 51, in for Vegas. Heidman goes in and ties up Cam Beige, who might not have seen her. Heidman's about 5'7". Curt Miller, let's go back to what he was saying when he was wired for sound in the first quarter.
We just got to string together some stops. String together some stops. Dig in. Be physical. Hey, do your work early, and then straight up. Do your work early. Hey?
That is where Connecticut is at their best, when defensively they can make things happen, and they're dictating.
Great hustle by both sides. A tie-up. Maya Forsberg, Tiffany Berg, Randy Richardson, our officials. Curt Miller, in his 4th year, was the Coach of the Year 2 seasons ago, but Connecticut, last 2 years, getting into the playoffs, getting into the second round, but losing with that infamous single elimination format.
And they're one of the younger teams in the league. And Curt Miller talks about how they put the roster together 2016, hoping that if they could keep that cohesive unit, they would build the chemistry and be ready to make a run in a year like this and be championship contenders.
Ball was batted around. Sugar Rogers threw it out because there was only 1 second left on the shot clock, which actually did not run, but that was more than 1 second. I mentioned Chiney Agwumike, who is traded now over to Los Angeles and has given Jonquel Jones, the former 6th player of the year, into the starting lineup and having an MVP-type season. But this is a group that has been together quite a while. Can this be the year they can finally get a playoff win? Holmes. And Beige able to snatch it. Las Vegas San Antonio franchise has not been to the playoffs since 2014, back when they were still in San Antonio. Rogers missed 2 on that trip. Heidemann, who had been the last cut at the beginning of the season, re-signed after Atlanta let her go. And it's been a valuable backup to Thomas at point.
Well, with this lineup in defensively for Connecticut, I would get the ball to Liz Cambage. Right now, she's got Alyssa Thomas on her. At least allow her to draw some attention and open up the offense, starting with that matchup.
Well, she was calling for the ball, but Park decided to take a shot and then committed the foul on the follow, much to the chagrin of Bill Lambier. Bill Lambier letting Randy Richardson know that that was not a call that he agreed with. And he has drawn a technical foul. So Courtney Williams with the free throw, and they called the foul on Park. That's what got Bill Lambier so upset.
I thought she was right there even for the basketball. I would have to agree with Bill. I don't think that Natisha Heidemann had an advantage as far as her position. I thought it was 50-50.
Morgan Tuck, who just checked into the game, is called for a foul, trying to get position on Hamby.
And we weren't sure if we were going to see Morgan Tuck because she's been battling some knee soreness. Kurt Miller was telling us before the game, actually a few of their players in the last two games have been probable in terms of their status. Jasmine Thomas is a little gimpy. Jonquel as well.
Kayla McBride, been quiet for a while. Nailed that. Her second three of the game. Courtney Williams able to rid herself of Young, but Hamby picked up her fifth rebound. America averaging almost 10 rebounds a game since starting for Asia Wilson. Vegas bounces back on top.
You got to pick up the ball early and put some pressure on that pass. If you allow them to just make that straight into Liz Cambage, you are exposing your post defense there.
Cambage continues to be all over the boards. Her fifth rebound. And another whistle. Officials keeping a close eye on the action underneath.
Vegas is doing a really good job of getting down and getting early post position, and you saw it there. The pass from McBride, you got to push up some and make her think about putting the ball on the floor, but not just an easy entry there into Cambage before your defense even gets set.
Once she gets the ball there, you're pretty much in deep trouble. Cambage, terrific move to get around Jones, but couldn't finish, but the ball stays with Vegas. Cambage upset with herself for not getting that basket. Jonquel Jones wanted her to be called for steps.
Liz using some spacing here, turns around, facing up. I thought that was good.
Williams bounce pass to Jasmine Thomas, who gets her first points of the night. Another whistle, this time Jasmine picks up the foul, her first. Another hard foul by Williams. McBride finishes anyway.
Holly Rowe mentioned the rest of Kayla McBride. She looks refreshed and moving without the basketball. You get concerned about that three-point shot, so you want to deny her, but good read back door and nobody home. Williams caught out of position.
First foul on Courtney Williams. McBride, a 91% free throw shooter. Cambage goes down, no call. Eighth best in the league in free throw percentage at 91%. A lot of really good free throw shooters in the league. Williams drew defensive attention. Tuck got a wide open look and made him pay. Her made 3 of the season. Another lead change, and now Cambage is going to give out a scream after being called for that foul. That's 2 on Liz.
She was trying to get position coming down the floor. Right here. Yep, gets that left arm into the face of Jonquel Jones. Anytime you take that elbow back, you could be in trouble. You got to just hold that elbow up, 90-degree angle. And here it is on the other end.
Cambage holding onto her face.
But you know, I was listening to our broadcast that had Brianna Stewart on it with Ryan and Holly and Rebecca, and Stewie has very long arms. And she was talking about post players and sometimes how when you're trying to get position, you don't necessarily mean to. I'm not sure if Jonquel actually made contact with that arm.
They're going to go over and look at it, the monitor.
But a lot of flailing arms right now from both as they're trying to get established.
And you mentioned Brianna Stewart, very long limbs. Ask Sue Bird's nose about that, right?
Yeah. Sometimes those post players' arms get flailing and a little hard to control.
Even some friendly fire. So let's go back and look what the officials are examining.
Right here, I'm not sure if there's actually contact made with Jonquel Jones's face. Oh, excuse me, with her elbow. Yeah, there was contact made to Liz's face.
So both Jonquel Jones and Liz Cambage have 2 fouls apiece. The premier matchup that we highlighted at the beginning. Cambage and Jones, 2 of the best bigs in the league.
And I would call that incidental contact. In my opinion, it doesn't deserve an upgrade. She didn't really swing it. She was just trying to turn out after that screen. But she did make contact with Liz's face, so I understand the foul call. I don't see it deserving of an upgrade.
Mai Forsberg, Tiffany Bird, Randy Richardson talking things over. Cambage so far 8 points and 5 rebounds. Jonquel just 2 points on 1 of 5 shooting. She does have 4 boards. And Tiffany Bird had the word for you, LaChina.
Yeah, they came over and said it will not be upgraded. It is just an offensive foul on Jonquel Jones, but will not be upgraded to a flagrant.
And we agree on that.
Yes, which is rare.
Yes, just kidding. Write it down. Las Vegas has its starting 5. Back in, Cambage missed the bunny. Kept the ball alive. The ball stays with the Aces.
I thought Hamby could have gotten that pass a little sooner.
Timeout on the floor. Connecticut up 1.
5:33 left to go in the second quarter. Connecticut's up 30. Aces.
How many pick and roll layups are we going to give them? What are we doing about them? You talk to them about it? Layup. How many wide open transition layups are we going to give them? You got to get back. Someone's got to get out of the corner and get back there. Let's go.
Bill Laimbeer addressing his team about their transition defense and keeping in mind that the Connecticut Sun are very good, one of the best in the WNBA when it comes to fast break points. They already have 8 of those, and for a prideful defense like the Las Vegas Aces, that is a no-go.
Cambage with a quick turn, got fouled. Morgan Tuck has picked up her second.
Well, we knew that one of the big things in this game is how is Liz Cambage officiated? How is Jonquel Jones officiated? And I believe that foul was on Jonquel.
Pardon me.
But it looked like very little contact.
That wasn't in the game, so that would have been involved in the play, rather. There's Jonquel. Strickland buries it.
And that's sometimes what Connecticut doesn't do enough of, is move the basketball and let the offense come to them in the half court. And that was a much better possession, moving it around.
Foul on Jonquel, by the way, her third. Teresa Plaisance is going to check in, we assume, for Jonquel. Cambage. Boy, she's missed quite a few in the paint this afternoon, uncharacteristically. Williams. Good rebounding guard, averages over 5 per game, and came down and finished on the other end.
That's also what she does well. One of the best in this league when it comes to hitting the tough twos. Her pull-up game happens so fast.
Thomas pulled off after a fast start. 9 points in the first quarter. Another pick and roll, but that time, Hamby got a hand on it. Nice pass by McBride to get Hamby in stride. Erica's first points to go along with 5 rebounds. Cambage has just picked up her third.
I like the call. Force Liz Cambage to have to defend offense on the move, but perfect pass there in transition by Kayla McBride. And McBride has had to take a step back some offensively with all the post talent now on this team and be a facilitator in some of those situations with the addition of Liz Cambage.
Scoring is down almost 4 points a game from last year as we take a look at the upcoming WNBA national TV schedule. On Wednesday, Seattle is at Washington on the CBS Sports Network, and then at 10 Eastern Time on ESPN2. The Connecticut Sun will be in Phoenix Friday. LA at Chicago at 8 Eastern Time on NBA TV. Go to WNBA.com or the WNBA app for more information. LA and Chicago play today.
Yeah, Chicago's up 2 despite not having Courtney Vandersloot, who's out due to illness, and Jantel Lavender. Impressed.
Let's go over to Holly Rowe.
You know, you see that next game for Connecticut is at Phoenix, and it's going to be very interesting because after a fight last night where Brittany Griner and several other players were ejected, the league is reviewing that situation, and some suspensions may be coming forward. So how many players will Phoenix have for that game against Connecticut? They were down to just 7 players dressed already. If there are additional suspensions, it could get very interesting on Wednesday in Phoenix.
Yeah, we heard Rebecca talking about that in the opening of our show, and those are the kind of moments that could be turning points. You know, Phoenix, as Holly just mentioned, already down due to injury. Then you add some possible suspensions. There are the ejections. And Diana Taurasi came off of the bench, made some comments after the game that she felt like she was not going to watch her teammate get jumped. But just, I mean, a terrible scene in Phoenix when that fight broke out.
Plaisance gets it over to Strickland. Shot clock winding down. Alyssa Thomas, 1 pass too many for the Sun. It'll be very interesting, as you mentioned, to see who the Sun will be facing with Phoenix. Phoenix already has 2 players on 7-day contracts because they had been so depleted by injury. And now the suspensions that we anticipate could play another role. Phoenix is a team that is trying to get into the playoffs. Falling below 500 now. Plum dribbled into trouble. Hamby. Just a little bit too much. As we hit 3 minutes to go in the half. Alyssa Thomas short. Plum and Alyssa tie it up. What a game we have going on. Connecticut holding on to the slimmest of leads as we take a timeout in Vegas.
Kevin Connors, Rebecca Lobo coming up on the WNBA Halftime Report presented by State Farm. We'll have more on the brouhaha in Phoenix last night. Rebecca with some pointed comments in the aftermath. Also more on Washington's offensive explosion today. We came in talking about the bigs in our matchup. What have you seen so far?
Well, Elizabeth Cambage is putting up some numbers. Jonquil Jones a little more quiet, but I think those two are going to even each other out. It's going to come down to the guards and their ability to hit some mid-range jumpers.
We look forward to seeing you on the WNBA Halftime Report presented by State Farm. But for now, back to Vegas, Pam.
Thank you, Kevin and Rebecca, as Liz Cambage stays loose on the bike. And there you see the numbers for both of them, missing more shots certainly than we're used to seeing for Cambage.
Yeah, I mean, around the basket, and you have to credit Connecticut. They've mixed up how they've played her, some one-on-one. They've tried to push her out some away from the basket, kind of thrown an extra defender on her in some situations as well. So that's keeping her a bit off balance.
So Cambage out of the game right now, as is Jonquil Jones. Two talented big players on their respective teams. Second of three regular season matchups between these two clubs. That's nifty by Hamby.
What a matchup between De'Erica Hamby and Alyssa Thomas. Two of the more physical players, relentless on the glass. Not facing each other on this end, but on the other side of things.
Carolyn Swords in the game, number 4 in black for the first time for Vegas. More players on the floor. Long three for Jasmine Thomas. Misses wide left. Alyssa Thomas to Plaisance, who has a couple of threes this afternoon.
I like the pickup of Teresa Plaisance because in Connecticut's offense, they often need another player to stretch the floor consistently. And with Morgan Tuck having some knee issues and Jasmine Thomas not dependable from three, I like that.
Swords gets the bucket. Over half of Plaisance's shots this year have come from distance. Again, being traded for rookie Christina Nigwe, who was part of that brouhaha that Kevin Connors talked about in Phoenix last night.
Yeah, I think one of the challenges in sorting everything out in Phoenix is how many camera angles do they have? Because in everything I've seen, can't really clearly see what's happening in that initial contact between Griner and Nigwe. So hopefully they can zoom in and get a good shot at that, because that to me is going to be crucial.
Courtney Williams with the floater.
So good at creating her own shot. I mean, quick.
Fourth year out of South Florida. Originally taken by Phoenix. And has flourished in Connecticut. Plum. Hamby. So active. Kept the play alive. And drew the foul.
He never takes a break. You will never see De'Erica Hamby take a play off, whether it's her responsibility to set a screen, running the floor, on the glass. And that's why she's in this lineup with the absence of Asia Wilson. She is bringing that type of tenacity, that complementary player to Liz Cambage.
Third foul on Plaisance.
And Hamby is such a great story about her resilience in this league. You know, she said, I was really starting to feel myself after my second year, gained some confidence, and an injury sidelined her. Then her third season, an unexpected pregnancy sidelined her for much of the season. She said, I really believe that I belong here. She's starting to feel that and gain confidence every single game, and you can see what she's doing with that frame. She's come back from a lot and doing very well for the Aces in the absence of Asia Wilson.
7 rebounds so far for Hamby. Vegas down 2. Timeout, Connecticut.
Share the basketball, you guys. We're fine, right? One possession at a time, right? You lose a possession, win a possession. Lose it, win it, right? Stay confident in what you're doing. You guys are doing good things.
Herb Miller trying to help his team through what are the tough stretches on the road, because they have not been as sharp on the road, and their ability to come back in adversity has been challenged this season as well.
Shot clock winding down. Swords gets the Alyssa Thomas miss. Connecticut's 7-game winning streak, their second 7-game winning streak of the season, snapped in their last game, trying to get back on the winning track. Vegas pulls even on Jackie Young's second basket. Thomas airballs it, shot clock off. Here comes McBride. fitting that we are tied at 42. We had 10 lead changes in the first half. No lead bigger than Vegas's 8 points for either team. Holly Rowe right now with Kayla McBride.
Well, Kayla McBride, in the first 3 games before this one, you were shooting about 26%, which is not like you. What has changed for you? You're starting to really get in a flow.
Just trying to stay aggressive. Obviously, shooters got to shoot. Doesn't really matter what's going on. I know I'm one of the best shooters in the world, and I got to keep shooting. That's what my team expects of me. It just takes a lot of mental toughness and confidence.
Okay, you're literally trying to catch your breath right now. The pace in this game has been real. Tell me how you guys will have some juice in the tank for the second half with this tempo.
Well, we'll have Liz back on the court, which helps. But, we just got to stay locked in. We're at home, so we should have all the energy in the world. But Connecticut's the number 1 team in the league for a reason, and they get up and down. We know that, so we got to be ready.
All right, thank you so much.
So Kayla McBride and company tied at 42 apiece. Alyssa Thomas, by the way, got a technical foul for Connecticut going off the floor. More on that when we come back. But first, stay tuned for the WNBA halftime report presented by State Farm after these messages. We are in Las Vegas, Nevada, getting ready for the second half at Mandalay Bay Arena. The Sun and the Aces knotted up at 42 apiece. 2 of the top teams in the league. Pam Ward, along with LaChana Robinson, Holly Rowe is here as well, and this game so far has lived up to expectation.
Yeah, both coaches were eager to see how their teams would get off to good starts in the first quarter, and they did that. But it's been balanced pretty much on both ends. We talked a lot about the post matchup, but neither Liz or Jonquel have had a consistent impact on this game.
Yeah, we've seen some really good guard play as we look at tonight's power performance brought to you by Beats. Courtney Williams has done some good things.
Yeah, if you give Courtney Williams space and opportunity, she is one of the best in this league at finding her own mid-range pull-up jump shot, as you see her do there. When Connecticut can get into transition, that is when things get really spicy for Courtney. But on the other end of things, I was impressed with the start by Kelsey Plum. Again, Bill Laimbeer wanted to see his team play with some confidence on the offensive end, and I thought she showed a lot of toughness, pushing through some contact and physicality, and make some plays to keep Vegas' momentum going.
Take a look at some of the leading scorers. Liz Cambage with 11 so far. Jonquel Jones only 4 points so far today for Connecticut. This is after she was held to 8 points in the loss at Minnesota. And Kayla McBride shoots the technical free throw going off the court. Alyssa Thomas was whistled for a technical foul, for what we believe to be an overreaction to a call or non-call. And Vegas also will throw the ball in. Here's Holly Rowe.
Well, guys, coming back onto the floor just now, that was the advice that Kurt Miller gave to Alyssa Thomas. He said, listen, you've got to remember, you've already got one. I cannot afford to have you ejected. He wants her to keep calm and stay on the floor here in the second half for Connecticut.
Speaking of staying calm, both Liz Cambage and Jonquel Jones had 3 fouls apiece, so that limited their impact somewhat in the first half. We'll see how they handle that in the second.
Cambage handles the rebound easily. Jonquel Jones has only been held to single digits in scoring twice this year, both times against Minnesota. Only 4 points so far today in Vegas. Jackie Young starts off with the 3.
That's an important shot. Bill Laimbeer has had a conversation with Jackie Young, a player that's often shy and looking for her own offense, and said, if you don't shoot it, I will take you out.
Kelsey Plum with the pick. Perfect pass to Hamby, but Courtney Williams was able to go over and get the block.
Good recovery by Williams. Both of these players have quick athletes that can get up and down the floor. He thought Hamby had something wide open. There's that vertical of Courtney Williams.
Yeah, Williams only about 5'8", if that. She's listed at 5'8", but as you mentioned, she's got tremendous leaping ability. McBride with the 2. Las Vegas scored the first 6 points of this half, and Connecticut calls a timeout.
We talked a lot about the post game, but the perimeter play has been impressive, including this one dribble pull-up. McBride, one of the best.
As we return to Las Vegas, we remind you our next WNBA game is Wednesday night when the Connecticut Sun go go south to take on the Phoenix Mercury, 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific on ESPN2 and the ESPN app. And look who's in the house.
Dawn Staley in the building. The legend herself. And even without A'ja Wilson playing, she is the USA basketball head coach, so she's got talent to watch in there, man.
As well as the South Carolina coach, Lisa Boyer, one of her assistants over there with the sweatshirt covering her arms because it's a little chilly in this building.
It is. Oh, Vegas.
About 100 and some outside, a little cooler inside. Vegas has scored the first 7 points of this half. The score changed since we went to break because the officials looked at what was originally called a 2 by Kayla McBride, and correctly, after review, it is a 3. McBride had both feet behind the line, and McBride's a little gimpy.
Yeah, she was reaching towards her left leg. Not sure what happened. Walking a little gingerly.
McBride with 13 points now on the evening to lead all scorers. Donquel Jones gets it over to Courtney Williams, who puts it in off glass.
And there you see Jones as a facilitator. She was a point guard all the way up through high school, only 5'9", and she is now 6'6". And so she took those point guard skills in the post body and has transformed her game and her versatility.
She told us she might not be finished growing yet, which is scary. Kelsey Plum gets inside. Get into double figures.
I don't know if Kelsey Plum could finish that move her first year. She has gotten stronger, playing more on balance off of the bounce.
Improved her defense as well. Taken away momentarily by Jackie Young. Williams recovers. Alyssa Thomas and Plum got tangled up a little bit, but Cambage got the rebound. It is 1 rebound away from a double-double. Plum thought about it. Most prolific scorer in the history of college women's basketball. That time she should not have challenged Jones, who got the block.
Connecticut can't be as casual with their passes as they've been in some instances. I mean, Vegas got a lot of tips and deflections in the first half. You may not see it in the turnover number as much as we felt it watching this game.
Holly Rowe listened in on the last Connecticut huddle.
Well, Kurt Miller isn't happy with how they're settling on offense for the Connecticut Sun. He said, you guys were setting one screen and then trying to take a shot. You were not out there headhunting. He really put the onus on them to be more physical out there, set screens for their teammates, run their offense more effectively. And LaChina, you said it in the first half. When they moved the ball a little bit better, their offense ran better. So he's trying to get them back on point right now.
Some big news for Vegas. Liz Cambage just picked up her 4th foul. Holly Holmes, just scored.
You're absolutely right, and you have to credit Vegas with how physical they are. Sometimes Connecticut struggles to push through that physicality to run their offense.
And with 4 fouls, Cambage will come out at the next whistle. Carolyn Swords is over at the bench, the scores table, excuse me. McBride follows her own miss. Plum left wide open. Plum with her 2nd 3 of the game. And then bumps Jasmine Thomas to pick up the foul. And now Swords ready to come in for Cambage. Upcoming WNBA national TV schedule on Wednesday, a doubleheader for you. First at 8 Eastern on the CBS Sports Network. Seattle is at Washington, the best record in the league, the Mystics. Then at 10 Eastern time, ESPN2 has Connecticut at Phoenix. And on Friday, NBA TV, LA at Chicago, the WNBA app, or WNBA.com. Always the place to go to keep you up to date on this very interesting and unpredictable season. So Swords is indeed in now for Cambage, who sits with 4 personals.
So what happens to Vegas' offense here is the question with Liz out. You can run things through her. You can get the ball to her. And this is where you really miss A'ja Wilson in this kind of situation.
Melissa Thomas. There's Asia on the bench with Tamara Young. Assistant coach Kelly Schumacher-Raymond. Asia told us, or was talking, right, told Bill Lambier at least, that she's thinking she can come back on Tuesday when Atlanta comes here. Young bounces it in.
Atlanta's already here. We just had a conversation with Nikki Collin, who's sitting over behind the Connecticut bench.
And they decided to stay out in this part of the country rather than go back east. They will play Tuesday night here against Vegas. Jones waited patiently for Hamby to get out of the way.
And that's a gamble by Vegas. I mean, you leave Jonquel Jones to go double. You better make sure the ball doesn't make it out of that. It did.
Kayla McBride, such a sweet stroke. Her fourth three gets the lead to 6, the biggest lead of the game. Or 9, excuse me, the biggest lead of the game for Vegas. Strickland with the miss. So Asia Wilson hoping she can come back very soon. And before the game, Asia was out there putting on some Asia moves.
Yeah, she looked pretty good. Cutting here. Big smile on her face. That's the biggest thing, is you want to get out and kind of cut and move around. She's getting some shots up, hoping to be ready.
Been out since July 19th. She also put on some good dance moves pregame. Jasmine Thomas gets the basket. As the people from the Michael Jackson show that's here at Mandalay Bay were rehearsing the halftime, and she was keeping up with them.
Asia has to move. Let's not get that. Those players don't get enough respect for the moves that they have as dancers. And we were wondering what would happen with Vegas's offense. Well, Jackie Young has been looking for her shot here in the last few minutes, and that's important.
Number 1 overall pick has been inconsistent offensively. She has 12 points, her second straight double-digit scoring effort, averaging just about 6 points per game. And with 2 seconds left on the shot clock, there's a foul. That's Asia Wilson pregame. Again, those are pros. That's from the Michael Jackson show here at Mandalay Bay, and Asia's keeping up with them.
And we know that move from Thriller. If you don't know that from Thriller, then you really have not been paying attention.
I didn't know that was from Thriller.
Come on, Pam.
You guys, I got a real update on where Asia got those dance moves from. I may or may not have cut a rug with her mother during the All-Star break, and so now I know where all the good dancing comes from. Asia gets it from Mom. Trust me on this one.
Miss Eva, we're putting you on blast here. Asia's parents, Roscoe, I believe her dad's name is, and Eva.
It is Roscoe, yeah.
I just call him Mr. Wilson.
Yes.
Like Dennis the Menace.
Yeah, there was some dancing going on a couple weeks ago at All-Star Weekend, from what I understand.
Oh, yeah. I heard Pam Ward was cutting the rug.
Only if I had a blunt instrument to do that. Another foul. Las Vegas has broken open this game a bit. It was 42 all at the half. Erica Hamby was just called for her third foul. Rachel Banham with the ball in her hands in the game for Connecticut. Along with Bria Holmes. Melissa Thomas left alone momentarily. Jasmine Thomas. Rebound taken down by McBride. Connecticut just 4 of 15 from distance. Banham created some space to hit her first bucket. Keisha Heidemann will come in at the next whistle along with Tamara Young to the Aces. McBride got by Banham. Couldn't get the bucket, but was fouled.
You know, watching Kayla McBride play now and even thinking about the success she's had from the three-point line this year, she really wasn't a three-point shooter in college. She's always been a mid-range pull-up kind of player and has always really had the clutch gene. But that just speaks volumes for what she's done overseas, how she's worked on her three-point shot, and especially with this post lineup with Vegas, the more she can stretch the floor, the better their offense will be.
Well, I actually asked Kayla McBride about that, how she developed that three-point game, and she's been working with a trainer called Green Wheat. She said he really took over my game and gave me the confidence to move out to that three-point line, something she's been working on when she's overseas in Turkey. And you know, I love it because she just told us at the half, I'm one of the best shooters in the world. I don't know if Kayla McBride would have said that years ago, and I love that that is the confidence that has developed in that young lady.
Totally agree with that, Holly. And it does have the confidence, even in this short time of trying to master the three-point shot, that she can knock it down.
Rhea Holmes, a little bit too strong. This is, by the way, McBride's 6th year already out of Notre Dame. Heidemann in to play point with Jasmine Thomas out. And 3 seconds. Jones was in there a little bit too long.
And Vegas has been more aggressive and trapping in pick and roll situations, trying to take the ball handler out of play in Connecticut's offense. They have to stay aggressive in attacking that, especially when there's a post player. But that's why they don't have that movement that we were talking about, what they need. You got to credit the way Vegas is playing and doing more trapping here.
Yeah, that was one of the things that Coach Lambier was on Vegas about early in the first quarter, getting it too much on the pick and rolls. Hamby cleans it up. This is a nice run. Vegas has outscored Connecticut by 5 since Liz Cambage went out with the 4 fouls.
And Jonquel Jones is frustrated with some of the physical contact, but she's got to play through that. There's no Liz Cambage on the floor. This is her time to really shine and get a handle on the offensive end. She's only got 6 points, 2 for 7.
Shot clock at 5 for Hamby, who drove on Jones. A little bit too strong, but Taylor Young in the right place. Timeout. Vegas up by 13, so Connecticut calls timeout. We will take one as well.
What a finish between the Sky and the Sparks. 3-point game, closing seconds. Allie Quigley is going to get a good look at it, and this one nearly goes down. Instead, it rims out. 26 for Chelsea Gray. LA wins it 84-81. Back to Pamela, China, and Holly.
Wow, but an effort. Chicago playing without Courtney Vandersloot led for much of that game, but the Sparks able to pull it out. A much improved team this year.
And LA starting to get their footing with Parker back in the lineup. But Chicago, boy, I'm telling you, Pam, they are going to be an X factor down the stretch of the season.
Morgan Tuck had 1 3 in the first half and just knocked down her second one. Vegas had outscored Connecticut by 12 in this quarter since Tuck hit that. Well, before Tuck hit that shot, there's your updated standings, and Chicago right now would be in the playoffs.
Yeah, and it really comes down to who you play down the stretch of the season. And we were talking to Kurt Miller about this because this is quite a stretch they're on the road. But the teams that we were kind of counting out early, nice pass, good finish by Carolyn Ford. Some of the teams we were counting out earlier, impressing me down the stretch, like Chicago. I mean, I did not know they were going to be this good.
Seattle and Minnesota dealing with so many injuries and new players, both in the playoff hunt. Great jobs by Dan Hughes and Cheryl Reeve, respectively. Shot clock is off. Heidemann got to put it up. Good quarter for the Las Vegas Aces. It was tied at the half. Vegas now up a dozen.
Las Vegas, here with the Aces coach, Bill Laimbeer. And, Coach, early in that half, you were frustrated with your team's pick-and-roll defense. What have they changed to do better with that?
We're going underneath trying to make him shoot over the top more.
Coach, Kayla McBride found her rhythm shooting. What was it that has allowed her to get back in that touch?
Just willed herself to do it. That's simple as that.
I thought you would give yourself some credit for letting her have a day off practice.
No. Thank you.
And Kayla McBride certainly looking revived. She is right now next to A'ja Wilson taking a break. But yet Coach Laimbeer did that, gave her an entire day off from practice. Their last game against Chicago, which was a loss, Kayla missed 12 of her 15 shots, including all 6 threes. Very different story today.
Well, it's been a very different story for the offense, period, and the defense for Vegas in that third quarter. Without Liz Cambage, Jackie Young scored 7 points. They had 7 points off of Connecticut turnover, so they're just making life difficult for Connecticut. Maria Holmes there with the score at the rim.
And they were able to lengthen the lead, did the Aces, with Liz Cambage on the bench with the 4 personal fouls. Still no A'ja Wilson, out with the ankle, a little bit too strong. Young tried to get Swords, who has been playing the minutes with Cambage on the bench. Actually, not on the bench, he's on the bike. This has been dealing with an Achilles injury that still is, she's not quite 100%, so she stays warm by staying on the bike. Heidemann hits the 3, her first basket, her 7th 3 of the season. Rookie out of Marquette, unanimous Big East Player of the Year last year as a senior. McBride going to come back in for the Aces. Next whistle. Hamby took steps. Here comes Cambage as well. Cambage back in the game, playing with 4 personals, and is 1 rebound away from a double-double.
And as I mentioned, I really thought that Jonquel Jones would use the opportunity with Cambage out to get some footing in her offense, but did not do that. And I think that's hurt Connecticut.
You would think that would be their time. Jones has 11 boards, but only 6 points on 2 field goals. 2 of 7. Jones out of the game now. Connecticut goes to Phoenix after this, which will be the finale of a 4-game road trip. Plaisance, the newest member of the Sun. Heidemann got bumped by Young. And will shoot free throws.
And we're seeing Heidemann's strength. She was a prolific 3-point shooter at Marquette, but is also quick and speedy off of the bounce as well, left-handed, so often catches her defender off guard.
Is she a lefty? Yep,
you heard me.
And you can hear more LaChina Robinson by tuning into ESPN's podcast Around the Rim. New episodes weekly on the ESPN app or Apple Podcast. There she is, LaChina Robinson, is your hostess with the mostest.
That picture's from like 1989. I don't look like that anymore.
You have not aged a
bit.
bit.
I have.
A bit.
I'm going to use that picture until the day I die.
Like the picture of Dorian Gray?
Yes.
Connecticut has outscored Vegas 7-0 in this quarter. Heidemann took a swipe at Plum on the way by.
And that's what you want to see from Connecticut is a response. Vegas went on a run. And Herb Miller, without his starters in the game right now, is getting a punch from the bench. Impressed with what Plaisance and Tuck have given in this game. And in recent possessions, Natisha Heidemann.
Cambage going right at Plaisance. Cambage gets that look in her eye. You know she's going. Heidemann making a difference. You just mentioned the bench play. Connecticut, the only team in the league that has used the same 5 starters in every game, but now it's the bench players who are getting them back in this game.
Well, guys, this is the first time I've seen Heidemann play in person. I have to say I'm very impressed. She was signed after Lasia Clarendon went down with an injury. Clarendon only playing in 9 games this year, so nice pickup from GM Amber Cox. Heideman's showing a little something right now, her length and shooting ability.
She is, Holly, and they needed exactly this with Lasia being out. Someone who could come in, handle, allow Jasmine Thomas to get a few minutes of rest here to start the fourth quarter.
Heidemann has the last 8 points for Connecticut. Heidemann was in Connecticut's camp and was actually the last cut. And when Lasia Clarendon got hurt, as Holly referenced, Atlanta let Heidemann go, and they snatched her right back up. Kurt Miller told us it was a very difficult decision to cut her, and he was really pleased that she was still available. And she has certainly delivered, scoring the last 8 points for Connecticut in this game. Cambage blocks Holmes. Cambage wants it. In to Hamby on the post pass. Heidemann blew by Plum and kicked it over to Bria Holmes, who hit the shot. Just a 3-point lead for Las Vegas, who has led by as many as 13. Hamby got behind everybody, and Plum found her. Erica Hamby into double figures. All 5 starters for the Aces have scored a double figures. Holmes missed everything. Jonquel Jones and Courtney Williams coming back in for Connecticut.
Well, Kurt Miller's got to be pleased. There was a game a week or more ago when they played Chicago at home, and Connecticut had built a big lead. The bench came in and let that lead go, and he had to put his starters back in. And I think the bench took that personally, and they understand that they have to be able to respond in these situations.
Cambage with the finish. Connecticut's bench players have scored their last 18 points. Tuck drives, hit out by McBride, so Connecticut has 12 seconds to shoot. Timeout here in Las Vegas. Liz Cambage and the Aces with a 7-point lead.
Connecticut is putting up a fight with their bench.
A good look at James Romaine getting ready for Arena Bowl 32. The Philadelphia Soul and the Albany Empire. They'll be playing in front of a sellout crowd at the Times Union Center. You'll see Arena Bowl 32 coming up in just over 20 minutes, Pam.
Sure, the excitement is palpable there for that championship. You want more WNBA action? Now's your chance to catch your favorite players and teams all season and do it in person. Get your tickets today at WNBA.com/tickets. A lot of great matchups still left in this WNBA season. Pam Ward, LaChina Robinson, and Holly Rowe joining you from Mandalay Bay and Las Vegas. The Aces led by as many as 13. Connecticut's bench has trimmed it back to 7. Connecticut trying to avoid its 2nd straight loss after a 7-game winning streak. And Jonquel Jones is trying to avoid her 2nd straight single-digit scoring game.
Yeah, she has not performed well on the offensive end. And in games where her defender is physical, she has often struggled in those types of matchups this season.
Hamby drew contact. Jonquel Jones scored only 8 points. 1 of 3. She took 3 shots in Minnesota in their last game, and this is what she's done in this one.
And that's the next step for Jonquel Jones. You know, she has been in the MVP conversation earlier this season, and it's how you perform in the big moments when your team is on the road, when they need a punch. That's what makes you an MVP caliber player. And to me, sometimes Jones is still a little bit more passive than I think she needs to be on this particular team.
Vegas on a 6-0 run after Connecticut had cut it to 3. Jonquel leading her team in scoring and rebounding. Hamby being Or doing Dearica Hamby things, which is basically being an Energizer pest.
Hamby did a nice job jumping out here defensively, forcing a jump ball here.
Just 4 seconds left on the shot clock. Should Connecticut win the jump, and they should with Jones going against Young. Alyssa Thomas has to hurry. Foul underneath, and I think they're going to get Hamby. It's 4 on Dearica in her 5th year out of Wake Forest.
This has been a physical game, and right here under the basket, I don't know about that one on Hamby. I thought she had all ball, and I didn't see body contact if there was some.
Maria Holmes has it cup out. Plum picks it up. Plum with 14 points after being shut out in their loss to Chicago in their last game.
Well, ladies, you're talking about how physical this game is, and that has actually been a concern of Kurt Miller, the Connecticut Sun. He said, actually, for the last 3 weeks, I have been giving feedback to the officials that we're about to have a fight in every single game we played, and that's not the nature of my team. He said, you know, it has been a physical season, and we've continually given feedback that this is too physical right now. I think Rebecca Lobo said something like that at the half, and with the fight that's escalated here in the WNBA, maybe something to take a look at.
Yeah, Holly, I mean, with those numbers, looking at free throw attempts and fouls this season versus past seasons, I mean, you have to look at that. And one thing that surprised me in this game is how physical it was in the first half. There were only 10 free throws attempted, and it just seemed like the play warranted more than that. But you want to see a whistle put on those plays in order to clean up the game.
And with that rebound, Cambage has a double-double. And threw the ball away. Liz has hit all 3 of her shots in this quarter, and there you see Cambage's numbers at the line well down. And she played with Dallas last year.
One thing Rebecca Lobo also talked about was how Vegas can be plagued by turnovers, especially late in games. So they have to take care of the ball with this lead here, because if you turn it over, Connecticut will make you pay.
Connecticut clawed back to within 3. With Vegas starting to take control as we get close to 4 minutes. McBride kept her dribble alive, and Will Lambier called a timeout. Timeout in Las Vegas, where the Aces have now jumped out to a 12-point lead.
Welcome back to Las Vegas, where the Aces are up on the Connecticut Sun, and a lot of it has to do with the play of Kayla McBride. I call her Kayla McBuckets. She's getting to the rim, scoring in pick-and-roll situations. When Liz Cambage is out with foul trouble, there's no Asia Wilson. There's more space and opportunity and more play calls for Kayla McBride. And after that rest that Holly Rowe talked about, she's got her legs under her, looks much better shooting the basketball than she has in the last few games.
Yep, again, her last game against Chicago, she only hit 3 of her 15 shots. Great line for McBride. All 5 starters for the Aces in double figures. Liz Cambage has her 8th double-double of the season, and it's a 9-0 Vegas run after Connecticut got to within 3. Puts us in this 12-point advantage for Vegas. Cambage doubled. Alyssa Thomas stole it. Thomas with the spin and finished. Righty. Connecticut just 16 points in the paint in the last 3 quarters after they had 14 paint points in the first quarter alone.
Vegas has been more aggressive in pick-and-roll situations defensively, keeping the ball out of the middle of the floor, forcing jump shots.
And Jonquel Jones has been very quiet offensively. Jones still sitting on 6 points. 2 of 8 from the floor.
And Kurt Miller did tell us that she's nursing a bit of a foot injury, so I don't know if that is bothering her or impacting her aggressiveness in this game. That could be a factor, but she just has not looked like herself, much like she did not against Minnesota.
Only single-digit points in the loss to Minnesota. 8. Only took 3 shots in that game. Just 6 points today. Last foul on Jackie Young. Cambage gets her second block of the game. Jasmine Thomas hits it over Plump. Cambage guarded by Jones. Cross court intercepted by Thomas.
And those are the kind of costly turnovers that we were talking about for Las Vegas. Hurt them in the end of that Chicago loss.
Alyssa Thomas cuts the lead to 5.
So what did we see from Connecticut? We saw ball movement on a possession that got Jasmine Thomas a 3, and their defense has ratcheted up as well here.
7-0 Connecticut run after they trailed by 12.
And these are the kind of plays Connecticut has to connect on offensively. They move the ball from one side of the floor, and even though Courtney Williams gets that shot blocked, it's Alyssa Thomas keeping it alive, finding the open player. They use both sides of the floor, force the defense to rotate. That's what they've got to do.
So a 3-second violation gives the ball right back to Connecticut. Courtney Williams with the rainbow shot over Cambage. 2 minutes to go. Las Vegas has turned the ball over 7 times this quarter. Connecticut with the clean sheet. McBride, a little bit too strong, and another chance for the Sun. Jonquel Jones will step back 3, still can't buy the bucket. Great hustle by Courtney Williams. McBride, little no-looker into Hamby, but Jones was able to knock it away.
You see the value of a possession down the stretch of this game. A lot of hustling. Look at this one, Courtney Williams trying to do what she can. And right here, Jonquel Jones and then Shekinna Strickland hitting the deck.
More turnovers than field goals for the Aces in this quarter, yet still they lead. Cambage over Jones. Picked up the hoop and the foul.
Las Vegas always keeps an eye on Liz Cambage. It may look like this play is developing without her on the roll by Hamby. And she was called for that 3-second violation a couple of possessions ago, but this time shows numbers, has her defender pinned, and that was a nice pass too because there was quite a bit of traffic in the lane.
Cambage with 10 points in this quarter, hitting all 4 of her shots from the floor. Thomas couldn't get it. Jones able to follow. 8 points now for Jones, 4 in each half. 6-point lead as we go under a minute. Rookie Jackie Young with the ball in her hands. Beer has all 5 of his starters out there, same for Kurt Miller. Young draws the foul with 4 seconds left on the shot clock. Another foul on Alyssa Thomas, her 4th. Sends Jackie Young to the line for the first time in this game. After Sunday Night Baseball, join John Anderson and Michael Eaves for SportsCenter. They'll take a look at all the pennant races. Carson Wentz and the Eagles, can they get back to the Super Bowl and look at Cuba's Little League team in Williamsport? SportsCenter after Phil's Giants on ESPN and the ESPN app. Jackie Young delivers at the line. Connecticut's got to hurry. Down 8. Whistle away from the action. Vegas did have a foul to give, and they used it. McBride picking it up. Kayla's first. Strickland is out. Bria Holmes comes in and will inbound for the Sun. Both teams in the penalty now. Both teams with 2 timeouts apiece. Holmes, who just came in with the miss. Cam Beige gets another rebound, and the Las Vegas Aces can't hold on to it. Williams with the steal. Holmes finished.
One thing that Bill Laimbeer has got to tell his team, if they're able to hold on to this lead, is listen, guys, the turnovers down the stretch almost burn us.
Las Vegas Aces, after losing to Chicago in their last game, about to close it out. Another terrific game at home for the Aces. Connecticut is about to fall to 1-2 on this 4-game road trip. They will finish things out in a couple of days down in Phoenix. Plum hits the free throw.
Well, here's the thing. Vegas only gets scarier when they get Asia Wilson back. So if Connecticut wants a measuring stick, now granted they're on the road and they're fighting for home court, but these are the kind of teams where, in the situations where you got to get over the hump when your opponent is missing one of their key pieces.
Vegas has made their last 11 free throws. 8-point advantage, 7.5 seconds to go. Las Vegas will play Atlanta in 2 days.
And I thought this game really was hanging in the balance when Jackie Young started to hit a couple of baskets. Liz Cambage is out, and you had players step up. Obviously, McBride as well. Carolyn Swords gave you a couple of baskets, and that's what it takes to keep things going in the absence of Asia Wilson. But they will have her back soon, and Liz Cambage has been the go-to.
6 of their last 9 games on the road. 4 of those teams have winning records. 3rd easiest remaining schedule. Again, Las Vegas trying to get this franchise into the playoffs for the first time since 2014 when they were still playing in San Antonio. Jonquel Jones finishing off her 2nd straight frustrating offensive day. 2 straight games for Jonquel when she scored in single digits. And that's not going to work for the Sun. And another great crowd here at Mandalay Bay, pleased with the 8-point win over Connecticut.